Ah, a choice.
Oval Office.
We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute.
Oh, das hätte ich auch so gemacht.
So I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that
Immer den
somewhere
Drang im
at the
Kreis
place
zu
where
laufen.
we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny
Nee, jetzt will ich im
awaits.
Kreis laufen. Kein Kommentar dazu. Nur weil ich hier noch ein bisschen Kreislauf irgendwas zu sagen. Dann halt nicht.
Oh, hold up, what's this?
Das Verwirrungsende.
The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well,
Wir sind jetzt also kurz
who
vom
consulted
5.
me?
Neustart.
Why don't I get to
Dann
decide?
startet das Spiel nach.
Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it.
Ich halt.
And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait, you know. I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination, so I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
Was war das jetzt?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it
Jetzt hat er
mean?
wahrscheinlich die Neustarts
Stanley
vergessen.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ist das jetzt immer noch das Verwirrungsende? Ist das
The
nicht das
confusion and the
Verwirrungsende?
chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his
Ich
left.
weiß doch nicht, was das tun soll. Ist das Verwirrungsende jetzt vorbei? Ist es nicht vorbei? Ich gehe jetzt einfach mal nach
Coming
unten.
to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think,
Figlies.
Stanley?
Nicht gut.
What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Ich muss die alle finden, sonst werde ich
But
nicht
Stanley
glücklich im
just
Leben.
couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He
Nein.
looked down at the bucket in his
Ich hab hier den
arms.
Eimer.
Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were
Das hat aber ganz schön lange
which
gedauert,
was, of
bis er das
course,
gecheckt
very
hat.
odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh,
Jetzt geht das schon wieder
he
los.
exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him. Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The
nein.
bucket! Could it truly be?
Welcher ist
He
mein
rushed
Eimer?
forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket. Come to me, Stanley. Find me. He had
Nein.
to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
Auch noch einen Namen für den Eimer. Irgendwas.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her
Was?
bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of
Dieser
work.
Scheiß.
But on this particular day,
God.
her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Ja, ganz bestimmt. Ah. Ja, das reicht jetzt erstmal fürs Erste. Die Fortsetzung ist jetzt pausiert. Und so dabei belassen wir das auch. Das Menü hat sich jetzt echt geändert. Das finde ich voll cool. Voll kreativ. Naja.